It's Friday afternoon in Sydney, and that means it's time for Friday Beers with Marc and Stuart. I'm Stuart Roberts.
Mark Kennis.
And we're the founders of that great investor publication, Stocks Down Under, and its sister publication, Pitt Street Research. And Mark, it's time for Name That Stock. Okay, Mark, last week it's fair to say your performance wasn't spectacular in
Well, it was a
stock.
tie, right? But you pulled a trick on me, only asking about top 200
top
companies.
200 companies, right?
That's unfair.
Okay, so I've left the top 200 off the list this year.
Good.
Yeah, and I stayed away from the resources sector.
All right,
So
even better.
These are two picks from small caps and emerging stocks down under.
All right.
That you would have encountered in our travels.
Hope so.
Okay, so name that stock.
Hit me.
I'm a $1.4 billion company, and my foundation business was plus-size clothing.
Loose size, yeah, big, for big girls.
Right.
Or big guys.
Right.
Or both.
Big girls mainly.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and there are three names in my words in my name.
I know which company it is. The name just escapes me. I know what it is. So yeah, just
Okay,
spit it out.
it's City Chic Collective,
Yeah.
CCX. We like that one. That's a take on fashion that's going to kill David Jones and Meyer any day of the week, I think.
It's an aha question. I knew it. Anyway.
All right.
I've got one for you then. And this is easy, actually.
Okay.
You'll get this one straight away.
Okay.
As far as I know, this is the only company on the ASX with a Dutch CEO.
Right.
Who am I?
Your Dumpster, DTC.
No.
Ah.
Do they have a Dutch CEO?
Oh, the Dumpster is a Dutch name, right?
Yeah, but that's not the question.
Okay.
Actually,
Maas Group. The Maas family. Maas must be MAAS. That must be a Dutch name as well. Look, you guys people are everywhere.
It's a river in the Netherlands, but
Right.
do they have a Dutch CEO?
I'm pretty sure he's from here. There's the Dutch, and then there's
So again, that's not the question I asked. The question wasn't,
Okay.
Which companies on the ASX have a Dutch-sounding name? That wasn't the question.
right. The answer is BrainChip.
Yeah.
Yay! Tell us about the Dutchman running BrainChip.
Yeah, so Peter van der Meet, or Van der Made, he actually founded a business a long time ago that he sold to IBM a long time ago.
Right.
But yeah, he set up BrainChip, basically developing a revolutionary AI technology. So we'll hear a lot more from that company.
And we like that company, right?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
It's on our watch list, not yet on our topics list, but on the watch list. So
Okay.
it's actually had quite a good run recently.
Okay.
All right, so
Right.
it's 1-0.
Okay.
Crap.
Who am I? My market cap's 1.1 billion, and I am a world leader in mapping technology. So anytime
Is it Nearmap?
it's Nearmap. Yeah.
All right.
We like Nearmap. Stock had a bit of a sell-off recently, but it's just recovered.
Yeah. All right. So, last question. So it's 1-1, but you've got a.
Your health, sir.
Cheers.
Right.
You've got one question to go.
Okay.
So, this company runs two of the best-known quick-serve restaurants in the world. Who am I?
You are Collins Foods,
There you go. Ding, ding, ding.
owner of KFC franchises and a very strong business. We like Collins
Taco
Foods.
Bell as well.
Right.
So, yeah, good stuff. And again, that one is on our watch list. So, crap, I lost this week. 2-1.
Drown your sorrows. Have a beer.
Good job.
Right.
All right, and now it's time for...
Appen has done no one any favours in the last little while. APX, world leader in training data sets for not training data sets, but the data sets that help train artificial intelligence systems. This is a $500 million a year business, $500 million a year business for Appen. The stock was $45 roughly in August of 2020. It's since been as low as $8 in October.
Yeah.
So it's been a long slide down. It's on Marc and Stuart's top picks, so we like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
It's been on that twice, actually. First time.
And in each case, it's lost a fair bit of value on that big slide.
But right now, it's sort of almost recovered to the level where we included in our topics list for the second time. So 12 and a little bit.
Okay, so it's fair to say that a lot of investors out there still hate Appen. because it's gone a long way down between
Yeah.
August 2020 and the present. Now, here's why it's so low. I think we all know that artificial intelligence is a huge growth business, and expenditure on artificial intelligence grows at about 20 or 30% a year. The downside is that the kind of projects that the world leaders in artificial intelligence will pursue changes over time. So, late 2020, Appen announced that it was.
Call that a nut.
It's a few other things in there as well.
Yeah, it's been there for a while, but it looks of it. All right. Anyway, Appen. Keep going.
There's some dates in there as well, I think, and some chocolate. So yeah. So this company skated through the early stages of the coronavirus panic unscathed, but it discovered late in 2020 that a lot of its old projects with Facebook and Google and others weren't going ahead as before. So they still had plenty of business, but there'd been a drop off. So they had to adjust their guidance for the calendar 2021. They were going to grow EBITDA, depending on how you measure it, somewhere between 18 and 28% in calendar 2021, which is nothing to be sneezed at in anyone's books. Come to the half-year result, the slide continued because EBITDA was actually down. So the assumption was that the company would have to downgrade. They haven't actually downgraded, and I think the reason is they've got their mojo back. They've changed their business. They've got a whole lot of projects they're now working on. It used to be the lion's share of the business came from tagging language data sets. They've now diversified beyond that basic approach to being able to tag all sorts of data available for training.
Plus, they've always said that the second half of 21 is where that you should see an uptick in the order book as well.
Right.
So hopefully that's coming through.
So we think that's starting to happen. They'll get through the end of calendar 2021 in one piece. Now, from that time on, you go back to the usual, at least a high double-digit growth that Appen is characterised with. At which point the PE of the stock is way below that, or at least the EV to EBITDA multiple is below that. So we think it can get back to $12 without trying too hard.
Yeah, and hopefully beyond that.
Right. Well, all the way back to 40 potentially. We're talking. There are not many companies that are like Appen.
No, although I think 40 is a bit of a stretch, but yeah, even if it got back to say it's $18 or $20, I think that's sort of where we hope it might go.
Right.
Yeah, and it's fair to say we both like Appen quite a lot. So
right.
Yeah, it's on our topics list. So that's absolutely something that the market isn't too bullish on right now. Although it seems to be sort of base building here, so hopefully, we can get that.
I mean, the moral story is, if a company disappoints unexpectedly at the wrong time of the year, it can count on being punished for a long time, and that's what's happened to Appen.
Yeah. All right, good stuff.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
All right, Stu. So there's a company out there that we have different opinions on.
You mean you're wrong?
Well, time will tell. I might be wrong. God knows I've been wrong before on certain stocks. So, but this one is one that you feel quite strongly about,
right.
and I still have my reservations, and that is Perenti.
Perenti Global, ASX PRN.
So you do the good cop thing.
All right. So what's Perenti do? They're mining services. They do both open pit and underground mining across a range of sectors. It's a $2 billion a year company. EBITDA of close to about $400 million. So they're pretty significant. Now, the mining industry is on a tear. Most commodities are doing quite well. And Perenti's been doing great at signing up new projects. They had a problem though. Recently, they flagged that the FY22 year would be weak in terms of earnings, and the issues were currency was too high. There were labour shortages in the state of Western Australia, and that slowed them down. So they were only going to grow EBITDA about 3 or 4% in the current year. You get back to pretty strong growth after that. We're talking on consensus 13.5% growth for FY23. And that's what makes me think when you can get this thing on a EV to EBITDA multiple of just 3, that's got to be good. There was some heavy insider buying after that profit warning. So the insiders, as in the directors, are optimistic about their company's future. And the clients are generally pretty happy with Perenti, so they get a lot of repeat business. I think this one is headed way higher than what it is right now.
All right. You want me to do the bad?
What don't you like about Perenti, Mark? You unenlightened person.
There's 3 things I don't like about Perenti.
Right. Okay.
One is the currency effect, and we'll see. The currencies can go either way. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's one.
Okay, and it's fair to say the Australian dollar's been reasonably strong lately, right?
Yeah, it came off a little bit this week
Right.
with the RBA decision to move away from the trying to steer the 2 year, I think it was 2 year bond yields. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that's one. The other thing is labor shortages. With our friend Mr. McGowan,
Right, Comrade McGowan in Western Australia.
yeah,
Right.
Chairman McGowan. So he is probably going to keep that state locked up for at least through a big part of the first quarter next year. So maybe February, if they're lucky to get out. It might be a bit longer. It depends a little bit on the lobby that Qantas is basically set up to get WA to open up as well.
Right.
But as the recent history has shown that this guy is sort of not open to not prone to sort of subject himself to that sort of.
I mean, the only way to get in Western Australia at the moment is to walk across the desert, and even then, someone's going to get you before you get to civilization. Right?
So the problem is, WA's got great issues right now with labor shortages all over. Labor costs have gone up tremendously. Even if WA opens up, say February or March, but it will take at least 1 or 2 months at the very minimum,
Right.
to get all those people in, and that's just from within Australia. So let alone sort of outside overseas migrants willing to work in WA. So I think first part of calendar 22 is from that point of view is sort of a waste of time.
Right.
So they'll still struggle with that. That's one. The other thing is they do a lot of business in Africa, right? And while we have COVID under control, more or less in Australia and in Europe, although it's sort of spiking left and right, the US, so the developed world is based on the vaccine rollout, it's sort of under control. Africa is a big mess still, and with these mines shutting down, left and right in Africa still, I suspect that Perenti will have issues through the whole of 2022 with that sort of stuff, and that's not going to be good for the cost base, for revenues, and all that sort of stuff. So, nutshell, long story short, my expectation is that Perenti might have some sort of disappointment come through in the next 6 months, while we unlock here the rest of the business might still struggle with some of these issues I just mentioned. So that's my take on it.
All right. So Africa's about half the business. You're right. It doesn't necessarily mean every single mine in Africa is shut. Open pit mining operations have generally been able to go ahead without too much trouble.
Right.
So I actually don't think that's too much of an issue. The other thing is you're talking about known knowns. We know there's a currency issue. And we know there's a labour shortage. I mean, you can fix that quickly just by opening the borders if McGowan's smart. Now, so this really revolves around the intelligence of.
That's a key thing right there.
Right.
If he's smart. Well, I think we can conclude
we've concluded
that's not the case.
Right. Okay. All right. So I won't say you win, but
we'll
Mark
see what
McGowan,
happens.
if you're a holder of Perenti stock, you need to open the borders of your state right now.
Yeah. So we're around $1, I think. So,
No, just under $1, 96 cents at the moment.
right. So let's check 3 months from now, see where we are.
All right. Good.
All right. So what are we drinking, Stu?
Okay. So this is a craft beer most of you probably haven't seen. It's called Status Quo. From the Mountain Culture Brewery in Katoomba, west of Sydney. So I got this because regional New South Wales is just unlocked. So Sydney siders can travel to Katoomba and other places and go sample some of the great beers outside the metropolitan area. This is a New England Pale Ale, pretty heavy on the hops, and the alcohol's not bad. It's 5.6. Frankly, they could have worked a bit harder on the hops. There's
some other things as well.
What didn't you like?
Well, when you take a sip, it feels like you're getting your sort of daily iron intake, or more than that. It's a bit of a metallic taste.
Right. Okay.
That's just the first sort of impression I get.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't order this if I saw this in the pub.
The trouble is that you can't tell what the hop is. Like ordinarily hops have.
Have you looked up what the hop is?
No, I wouldn't. Well, no, but if it's a piney flavour or if it's a fruitish kind of flavour, or if, there are grassy tones to it, you can generally.
I have to laugh every time we talk about hops. Fruity, grassy, piney. Sound like a vegan.
You'll be amused by this. There's been some dry hopping in this one as well.
Dry hopping.
That's a thing. Dry hopping. It's where you put the hops in late in the process.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
You never tried dry hopping yourself?
No.
Anyway, in spite of all that, you don't get any particular signature overtone on this one. So it's beer, and it's drinkable. If I had a nice day in Katoomba, I think I enjoy it nicely at the end of the day.
Yeah, just to do as the locals do. I think. But let's say, when I'm back in Manly, I wouldn't order it.
Okay.
It's sort of it's not bad, but it tastes a bit metallic.
All right. So Mountain, what do you call it again? The Mountain Culture Brewery in Katoomba needs to do a bit of work on that one.
They've got a bit of work.
All right. And that's all we have time for this week at Stocks Down Under. Happy investing, and if you're not a subscriber to Stocks Down Under, do yourself a favour, and more importantly, do your portfolio a favour, and subscribe to Stocks Down Under.